Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us around the world. My name is Ifeanyi Okpala. I will be your host for today as we discuss graduate school admission simplified with Ifeanyi Okpala. So now I want to know where you're watching from. Please leave me your name and your location in the comment box before I bring Ifeanyi on the line. All right, so where are you watching from, guys? Where's everyone watching from? I see you all joining. Please leave me your name and your location in the comment box. All right, we're going to be talking about graduate schools admission today. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, put it in the comment box so I know that my audio is working properly. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Yes. Folusho Ajayi from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining in. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. Thank you, everyone. As you're joining in, please be sure to share this video. Share this video so that more people can join. We're going to be talking about graduate school admission simplified. All right, Oluwatosin, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's a jolly day. Welcome everyone. Yes, you can hear me clearly. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in. And thank you Tolulokwe, Shoboye Joluwole. You can hear me loud and clear. This is great. So if you are just joining in, my name is Ifeanyi Okpala, and tonight we're talking about graduate school admission simplified, especially if you're looking to, gain graduate admission into any school in the United States. So I have Ifeanyi on the line and we're going to get started right about now. So please do share this video with other people so that we can have more people participate. Can we have Ifeanyi, please? Hello.
Hey, hi, Shem. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm all right.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us all the way from Alabama. So how are you feeling today? How are you feeling about the news? The news of the
well, you know, I like to separate politics from everyday life, but I think overwhelmingly everyone is calm. People are jubilating, some people are not, obviously, but the city is calm, the weather is good.
Good.
We don't have so much cold as we're used to. So I'm good. Yeah, everything is good on my end.
Okay. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to, do this interview with you because I basically reached out to you because I know that you have a lot of experience on graduate school admission. And I also know that you are an ambassador for the University of Alabama, right?
Yes.
Okay, for international students.
No, for the entire graduate school.
For the entire graduate school.
Yeah,
good. We're so proud of you, and we see all the good work you're doing. We celebrate you every day, and we wish you all the best. Now, let's get started. Ifeanyi, could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, my name is Ifeanyi Okpala. I'm Nigerian. I'm at the University of Alabama, where I'm getting a Ph.D. in civil engineering. So I specialize in construction engineering and management. I like to think I'm in the final sprint. I'm dissertating, so trying to get all the good stuff together so I can get the degree. At the IUA, I'm one of the graduate school ambassadors, which is a fancy word for we basically guide applicants through the application process, up until enrollment. Then when you enroll, we don't even leave you behind. We find a way to see how you can also settle in properly. Then in the graduate school, we have like a bunch of, like the UA graduate school particularly, we have a bunch of programs that help underrepresented students, which I fall in that category, settle in. So I'm one of the mentors, the peer mentors in the Tied Together program. And that's for the graduate school. I don't want to talk about a bunch of other stuff I do on campus so that we don't take the fluff away from admissions.
Okay,
but yeah, for the
that's
most part.
fine. And that's fantastic. I love how you said that even up until admission, you don't leave anyone behind.
No, we
Because
don't.
I feel
No,
like
we
if I
don't.
had someone that was available to hold my hands during the time that I was in graduate school, things would have been better. So I'm always looking to help other people, even though I'm not in graduate school anymore, but I know that people need that information. People always need someone to hold their hand. So kudos to you for doing this. And I know that you
No,
definitely
that's fine. No, that's fine. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me. I mean, your platform is big, and you're doing good stuff,
yeah.
especially around professional career development and just everyday life. So yeah, I'm happy to help.
All right, thank you. So I know that you finished your bachelor's degree in Nigeria, and then
Yes.
you decided to pursue a graduate degree in the USA. What informed
Exactly.
your decision to choose the USA?
So I got a bachelor's of engineering in civil engineering in Nigeria at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and then I
Yeah.
went to work. So shout out to Funab, Then I went to work industry straight up. I amassed about 3 years work experience. And one thing I've always been doing, even when I was in school, like when I was still a baby engineer, was I usually look at projections. So I read like the McKinsey report. I read, PwC employment outlook to see what is the future of work. So I was in petroleum. I was looking at, how I can enhance, skyrocket my career to wherever it's supposed to be. And I saw that technology is what everyone is talking about. And not in the software developer, software engineer phase, but
Yeah.
generally tech integration, tech development, tech diffusion. So I decided to look at what I can do to put me in that space. Then that's when I decided to go to grad school because I figured, oh yes, there are online courses and all that, but I needed an environment where I can be able to learn and apply these things, where I can have case studies that work. And that's why I decided to go to grad school. And that's what my research is about: tech integration,
Tech
tech
integration.
with emerging tech, exoskeletons, AI, VR, AR, and all those good stuff. Now the
Wow.
US has everything I want. So the
Yeah.
US, has the money for funding. They have the research. They reward you when you do well, and they speak English. And I've heard about people who went to the US and were able to do very well. I had a professor who went to Purdue. He's an emeritus. He's late now. So talking about the fact that he went to Howard and Purdue made me understand that there's something good going on in that country. So that was how I chose the US. It wasn't really a difficult decision, um, and that was how I just transitioned from wanting to do something around technology, and then the PhD. So the question is always about whether you should do a master's or just do a PhD. I decided
PhD.
to do a PhD
So what's
because
your recommendation?
no, it depends on where you are in your career and what you want to achieve. And I'll explain. Like
Okay.
in my own case, when people joined the company I was working, I
Okay.
was usually assigned as their, just immediate project engineer and just
Okay.
to supervise the activities and all. Most of them joined with master's degrees. And
Okay.
I wasn't a master's degree holder, but I was
Older.
boss, in that small, tiny circle. So I already knew straight off the jump that if I go get a master's degree, I won't be getting anything different in terms of
Different.
the
And
value
that's true.
at the dollar because I already had the experience and I was working for a good company. So
Yeah.
the only thing that came to my head was if I want to get another degree, it has to be something that now takes me exponentially from where I am
To
to
another level,
I can do it.
exponentially.
So that was how I decided to do the PhD. So the PhD would combine research, teaching, allow me to do some service that I'm passionate about, allow me to
Yeah.
explore those technologies and all that. So that was how I decided. But to give a generic response that is not about me,
Okay.
the question is what you want to use the degree for
Okay.
should inform whether you go for a master's or a
Or a
PhD.
PhD.
What do you want to use it for? If you want to get an MBA because you want to work with any of the MBBs like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, and all that.
Yeah.
And you need an MBA. You do not need a PhD to do that because you want to go into consulting. So
Okay.
go for an MBA. But if you know you want to teach, you want to become a professor, what qualifies you to become a professor, a research professor, is a PhD.
Okay.
To go for it. If you just want to be an instructor, you don't want to be a research professor, you do not need a PhD to be an instructor in a lot of schools. But you can also be an instructor with a PhD. So do that.
Yes.
If you want to work with, let's say, TESA for the engineering folks, you have to go and do your research and find out what those companies require. Like right now, I'm going for like the GEs, huge global research facilities, Baker Hill, Unilever, like those big boys that have research
operations, yes,
innovation, research and innovation at the heart of their operations, because those are the ones who value my PhD, because I'm going to be speaking their language. But if you want to get into like Tesla as a mechanical engineer, or you do not need a PhD. So why would you do a PhD? Just do a master's degree.
Okay.
The catch is, look at the demand, look at the requirement, and then track back, and then that should tell you what you should chase.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation for that.
Oh, thanks for that. I have follow-up questions in regards to that. So now you said that it depends on what you're gunning for. So what you want to be in the future would then inform your decision whether to get a master's or a PhD. So do you think, because if you're living in Nigeria or any other country outside the US, you have to deal with visa issues. So do you think that if you go to the embassy and say, hey, here are my papers, I've just been admitted into the University of Alabama to study a master's degree in whatever degree you want, what would they say? Would you, is the chance of getting a visa for a PhD higher than that of a master's degree? That's one question. The other question is, what about funding? Because I know that a lot of schools would fund you fully as a PhD student, but not a lot of schools would give full funding for masters. So can you please address that?
Okay, so for the visa on, if I give you a yes or no answer, I'll be lying to you completely. Nobody really knows how they evaluate this thing. I know the guidelines, I can give my personal opinions, but what they really look at to decide whether you do not have immigrant intent is up to them. So anything I'm saying is basically my own personal opinion. Now, for the master's and PhD, let's look at the length of time. For the PhD, you typically spend between 3 years to 5 years. For the master's, between a year to 2 years. So if you're coming to school for a PhD, at least you spend 3 years on the student visa. Now, in deciding whether they will give you, if you're a PhD or a master's student, depends on underlying factors. The first thing is your profile. That's what they're looking at. Do you have anything that convinces them that you are going to return to the country? Or do you have, rather they look at it in the reverse, do you have any red flag that shows them that you have a high chance of not returning? Now, I've seen people who got PhD admissions who did not get visas to do the.
Oh wow! Are you serious?
Yes, and I cannot tell you the reason.
Wow!
I would say that the US prioritizes research because she sees herself as a country of innovation and all that. So the first thing is that for a PhD, you already pre-qualify yourself for the visa.
Yes.
Because when you go through the process, the school checks your credentials, do all their due diligence, and then decide to bank like 50 to 70,000 US dollars on you every year.
Yeah.
That already tells the embassy that you have
something at stake, that you're a person of value.
Like a big deal, So that's really what will make me tend towards saying that you might not necessarily have more rejection rates in the PhD stream than the MS, because you're already pre-qualified.
Yeah.
Your statement of purpose just needs to have the regular things.
Yeah.
You need to do due diligence, you get a master's, and an admission into a master's program. But for a PhD, now you're looking at what is his research potential, what are his innate skills, can he try or can she thrive during the hard and rocky periods of the PhD. Look at all that. Not like you don't have the same qualities as the MS person, but
yes,
it's just a doctoral degree. So I would say that for the visa thing, really focus on what you have, your profile, dotting the T's and the I's and all that, crossing the however they put it. Just make sure that everything is on point, like your profile, your information, why you want to study. They'll ask you those questions. And then this is the last thing I'll say about the visa thing. And then that's how you really know that the PhD already pre-qualifies you. Like when I went for my visa interview, they asked me, why did I choose the University of Alabama?
I'm going to ask you that as well.
Because I did it myself. Like I found the program, I connected to
How did you find the school?
So before I go into that, let me quickly answer the second one.
Okay.
The second question was about, the first one was the visa thing for master's and doctorate. What was the second one again?
I asked that the funding. I asked about the funding.
Yeah. So funding is better in the PhD stream. It's better in the sense that it's more available and it's higher than the master's. And this is why. There's something they call R1 doctoral Carnegie classification, which is a bunch of schools based on your research activity get assigned a rating. Okay. So some schools are R1, there are about 100 and something schools among the thousands you have in the US. Some schools are R2, some schools are R3. The University of Alabama is R1. That means we have a lot of high research activity. We bank like $100 million of research grants coming in every year. We have all that. So we are at a higher, we have a higher potential to fund doctoral students because we want to result for those research that people are paying us to do. But our schools are our two schools are the ones people call teaching schools, where the emphasis is on, just come teach students. You don't have high research activity and all that. Now, if you are going to an R1 school, you will most likely get funded as a PhD student compared to an R2 school. This is my opinion. Because the R2 school, they are not really too big on the longevity of the research. It's just, come do something. And then some schools flat out just have policies. Like University of Alabama, they had a 15-year plan where the first 5 years was to grow undergraduate recruitment. So at that first 5 years, if you're an undergrad UA, the expanded classes, built buildings. The next 5 years was to consolidate. They got a lot of grants, built a lot of research labs and all that. Now we're in the last 5 years, which is to grow graduate research. So once you're a PhD applicant, we're going to be the ones who admit you in most cases. So that is my school. So if someone is applying for a master's degree program admission into engineering, I'll just tell you point blank that your chances of being funded is like 1% because it's a general school norm / policy that we should fund graduate students. So that is my school. So just to restate, you will get a better chance at getting funding if you are in a PhD program in STEM than master's in most schools. No sugarcoating it. However, if you want funding for masters, you have to confirm that university is funding for masters.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's that. And so to quickly take the next question, you talked about how do you find these schools?
Yes.
Now we have over 3,000, 4,000, schools
yes.
in the country. The way I narrow it down is simple. So you have a lot of rankings that are out there. People like rankings. Like you went to a school in your country that is not even number one in your continent, but you want to come to the number one school in the US. Okay. I don't doubt that ambition. It's fine. Have your ambition and all that. But be realistic about your credentials. Do not go and apply by faith to a school that you don't even have.
Are you saying faith doesn't work? Are you saying faith doesn't work?
What I'm saying is, if the school says that the minimum requirement for your GRE quantitative is 150, don't go and apply with 149.
They won't take you.
No, they won't even see it.
They will move your application to one side.
They won't even move it to the department. And people do that a lot. You'll be surprised. They said the minimum for the PhD program is 3.3 GPA. Okay. And then you apply with 2 point something or 3.0.
No, they won't take you.
What the minimum is. So most of the time they will not even see. So that's what I mean by do not apply with blind faith. I think blind faith is the word. So I have a website that I'll share with you guys.
Yeah, can you please put it in the comment box, or you can send it to me? Yeah, there's a comment box to the right of your screen that you can share the website, which I think is really.
It's number 4icu.org. Number 4, letter I, letter C, letter U.org/USA.
So you said I for what?
4icu.
4icu.
.org.
4icu.org.
/US.
/US. Okay. So people can go to that website.
Yeah, that website is basically ranking of all the schools in the United States. And it's in the form of a list. So what you can do is you can just print out the list, and then you have all the schools. Now, if you click on each school from the website, it tells you whether they have undergraduate, postgraduate programs in your area.
Okay.
In your field. And then you can now go to Google and do a quick search. So you can do stuff like maybe you pick University of Cincinnati or University of Alabama. You can say Masters in Public Health, University of Alabama for 2021 admission. That's my own keyword. Then it just takes you to the landing page for the admission requirement for that program. If they don't have that program, you won't find it there. Now, that's how you would do. Just pick first 100 or pick like 50 to 100 or 50 to 150 or maybe 1 to 150. Start looking at them one by one. That's how I did it. Now, the second one is referral. So you speak to people in the US. I want to do this program, which, like, if you give me a program combination, like just give me anyone, give me any program, give me what you think the person wants to do afterwards, and the scores the person have. I can give you 5 schools in this country that I'll recommend. And how do I do those 5 schools? Maybe a friend of mine is somewhere being funded. I'll phone a friend. Hey, how far? Do you guys have money in your department? Person will tell me, like Auburn, for example. I know Auburn funds their master's students a lot of equipment and materials. Because they have the national.
Where is Auburn?
It's in Alabama.
Alabama. Okay. Can someone be typing that in the comment box? Auburn. Auburn is AUPURN.
Yes.
Okay. AUPURN. Auburn.
Asphalt testing and all that. That's like the only one in the US. So they have a robust pavement and materials engineering program. So you come in as a master's degree student or a PhD student, they fund you.
Oh, wow.
So that's for masters now. Like for you now, the University of Alabama, we have the University Transportation Center, which is the the only transportation center in the state of Alabama. Auburn took pavement and materials research. We have the transportation research. So if you are coming into UA for a PhD to study transportation engineering, you most likely get funded because they have a lot of money.
Money that has been earmarked for that. And now I know that we're focusing on masters or PhD for graduate school. Do you have any insight as to, is there any school that will fund for undergrad just for,
funds for undergrad, full scholarships, the presidential scholarship.
For undergrad?
Yes, for about $108,000 for 8 semesters.
Oh, this is great. So even if you have your first degree and you think that, you know what, I want to go to another school, I want to study something else.
The same way. So they just check. So for the University of Alabama, for example, and you guys should pardon me, I'm in the University of Alabama, so
I know that's why you're using it as a lot.
But if you notice, I'm trying to talk about other schools too. So at the University of Alabama, they have the presidential scholarship based on your SAT scores and your GPA from your high school. So once you hit those metrics, automatically they give you the scholarship.
So even if you are not living here, if you are living abroad?
Yeah, we have 4 Nigerians, my last count. Ore, Ayo, and I can't remember the last guy's name because he just came in.
Can you guys hear that? So if you're still thinking that this master's thing is not for me, you can still get into a school fully funded, right?
Listen,
Fully
and I even
funded, you don't have to pay out of pocket. Fully funded, but you have to do your research and you have to do well in your SAT, right?
Yeah, SAT. So the thing is, you can make a case for those exams. Like now at the University of Alabama, we're waiving SATs for next year.
Can you hear that?
So you basically just apply with your GPA. SATs are waived. Next week, we're doing an application fee waiver across board. So you don't have to pay application fees for 1 week. And that's like $80 that you're getting. So just to restate,
okay,
you are trying to get admission to either an undergraduate program or a graduate program. For the graduate program, you have the master's or PhD. You have to find the school. Now you can find the school in two ways. You can look at icu.org/US and have the list of schools and start looking at their requirement to see if you qualify. The second one is you can speak to people in the US to see which one works. Then the third one is the one that a lot of people do not really talk about, and that is location. Like, if I want to come and
you're preempting my questions.
Oh, okay. Because it's just interrelated. Like,
yes,
keep going. If you want to work with any company, let's say you want to do PR. Like, everybody knows Los Angeles is the PR capital. Why not just find schools in California?
In Los Angeles area.
At least, in Los Angeles area. Because when you have career fairs in those schools,
those companies will come there to recruit.
So you have a high chance of even getting higher internships and all. So if you want to work in oil and gas, go to Texas. So FICU.org breaks the universities per state too. So just go to the state that your target future career, job is in, and look at the universities in those states and start looking at the requirement. That's another way. In fact, that's like a more effective way of looking at it. So if you tell me, hey, if I want to come to the US, and you tell me your score, I'll say, okay, that's good stuff. What do you want to do with your degree? And I want to get a job. Okay, with all the companies you've heard about, which kind of companies are you looking for? Well, I'm looking at automotive and all that. I'll tell you to go to California, because Fremont, California is like the headquarters of all these Tesla, Lucid Motors, Lamborghini, and the rest.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like you're thinking with the future in mind, which a lot of people don't do. So some people say, oh, I want to have my master's degree. And you ask them, where do you want to work? They have no idea. So most of the time, their dream and their ideas are just vague. And I think that you're saying something that is really important, because think of where you want to be first, and then you can chart your pathway to getting there, which is really, really important. Someone says that Samuel Oga says that you should use Ph.D. aquaculture as an example.
Yeah, so Ph.D. aquaculture is simple. Now, in the US, they do a lot of agriculture in some states, like the Carolinas.
Yes.
The North Carolina, the South Carolina, that's where you have the agriculture. Yeah, Louisiana, that's where you have the water side, New Orleans and the rest. That's where they do a lot of aquaculture. That's hitting it on the head. So I would go and look at Louisiana, schools in Louisiana. I'll look at schools in North Carolina. I'll look at schools in West Virginia, where you have a lot of mountains. So they do a lot of farming and all that. That's where, although that's like a reverse, because you're supposed to look for where they have water. But then, I know they do a lot of agriculture in West Virginia. So you look at those type of states, because most likely the headquarters or the boards or the organizations that are for those disciplines, like Mercedes brought their plant to Alabama. So it's here, like it's big. So Germans, the whole German Mercedes thing. So if you're looking at manufacturing and you want to target Mercedes, you start looking at schools in Alabama, because they hire people who go to schools in Alabama. For agriculture, I've already mentioned North Carolina, South Carolina. Look at West Virginia. Look at Louisiana. Those are, because you have a lot of water sites in all those places.
That's true.
For like people who are interested in aerospace, like there's a city called Huntsville. It's in Alabama. That's where you have the Space Rocket Center. That's where you have Martin. That's why you have Northrop Grumman, all these guys that are into like heavy defense, artillery, and all that. In that same Huntsville, they have Alabama A&M, which is a HBCU. They
What's
have
HBCU? What's the full meaning?
HBCU is historically Black college and universities.
Oh,
where schools that allowed black people to actually get an education, overwhelmingly compared to other non-HBCUs back in the days. So that's just so you have a lot of Black population there, but it's also diverse. So in that Huntsville, you have University of Alabama in Huntsville. It's a different school from my school, but it's there. And then you have Alabama A&M. That's 2 schools in that city. So when you go and look at the people those companies are hiring, they're most likely going to be from those schools.
Because of diversity campaign and all that.
You do electrical engineering and you want to work with Tesla, and in your head you just want to go to Harvard. And you're chasing Harvard. But the guy that went to University of California at Berkeley or went to California Tech, he has a high chance now. Everybody has their own life and destiny and all that. But based on what I'm saying, he has a higher chance to get into Tesla.
Yes, it's all about positioning and strategy.
Yeah. So you have to look at it that way. That's why some people, go far away to study. You think you don't know what they're doing, but then and then let me quickly say this: you're coming to get a graduate degree, master's degree. You're already mature. Like, own this thing. Like, with all the things I've told you, when I go for my visa interview and they ask me, why do you want to get a master's degree now? With my answer, you give me the visa now. But when they ask you that question and you're still wondering, and for less than a minute you froze.
So you're not projecting confidence.
And the visa officer is like, first of all, you're not projecting confidence. Second of all, you're not even saying anything reasonable. Around the bush. Oh, when I went for NYC, I didn't get a job, so I found myself in.
You don't want to say that.
So I have a friend who went for visa interview, and they asked her how her job relates with what she wants to go do.
Go and do.
She said, and where she works in is not what she studied. Like, apples to apples.
So there's no correlation at that moment.
Me, I could make a correlation out of it because every department in every
if you're smart, there's a way you can link things.
You can link it. But she said when she finished NYSC,
she didn't get a job.
So that beginning statement, me who is even not the visa officer, already.
You're already skeptical. Like, are you serious? Are you for real?
Like, so that's the catch. So you look at location and your career advancement. So those are the 3
your career goals. So you're basically saying that people should start with the end in mind. Thank you for all the insights. People are asking questions. Please drop your questions in the comment box. I'm going to be taking the questions, and Ifeanyi will be answering all your questions. So I want to quickly go to a very pertinent question. So we're talking about funding. You had said that the school will give you full fund. Some schools will give you full funding. Does that funding include accommodation? Because accommodation can be really high in the US. Does it include accommodation and feeding?
Okay. So let me just make it easy for everybody here. So this is how funding works in the US. There are 3 types of funding. There is what we call fellowships. Fellowships is what we call scholarships outside the US, which
Please be writing it in the comment box. 3 types of funding: fellowships. Then what's the next one?
So fellowship is what we call scholarships outside, which is the one they give you a huge X amount of dollars without requiring that you do any work. So no work, money, scholarship, fellowship. So it's called fellowship here.
Okay.
The second one is assistantship, which is where you are required to assist the department in either teaching or doing research. And in exchange
for your tuition.
Yeah, that's the second type of funding. Then the third one is loans, like when you go to the bank.
Do they give immigrant loans?
They give immigrant loans, but when you come into the US, that's when you qualify. But okay. I just want to put it out there that those are the 3 types of ways you can get funded. But I'll talk about number 1 and number 2.
Okay.
Now, how do you even find out if a school has funding?
Okay.
Well, their website.
Their website?
Keyword search, like the University of Alabama Civil Engineering admissions for 2021 to take you to the graduate school website. On the graduate school website, look for funding and assistantships,
Yes.
financial aid, students funding for graduate students. They can put it anyway, but you find it something about funding. Then on the websites, they will tell you whether they have funding available or not. They do not tell you they have funding available. Just cross out that school from your list because they do not actually have money. But what we typically for, you see stuff like Northwestern, Evanston, Illinois, they fund all their PhD students.
Wow.
$1,750 a month. I'll go into the accommodation question, but I'm just giving you.
Yes, because it's important. You don't want to leave and not
understand you are funded as a PhD student. They'll tell you they don't fund their master's students.
Okay.
Now, some other schools fund, but not everybody is funded. Another school like University of Notre Dame in Indiana, they fund all their students, PhD, and well, I'm sure of the PhD. For the master, I'm sure it's fund at least 50%.
Yes. Okay.
So that's how the funding works. Now, let's now talk about assistantships. For the fellowships, the department will review your application and decide whether to award you or not. So it's straightforward. You don't need to submit a separate application. You can get a fellowship. I got a fellowship for spring, $9,500. I didn't submit an application. Professors
because you already know your work.
Yeah, so they had metrics, because an endowment scholarship, and they recommended me up the chain, and I got it, and it will take effect in January. So
congratulations.
You don't need to submit an extra one. They know the money is available based on your grades and all that. Even when you're outside, they'll decide whether to give you or not.
Okay.
But for assistantships, it's different. Now, we have two types of assistantships that are relevant to this conversation. We call them, there's something called FTE. It means full-time equivalent. So it's either you're 0.5 FTE or 0.25. What does 0.5 mean? You are working 20 hours a week. 0.25 is half of 0.5, means you're working 10 hours a week.
10 hours a week.
International students, your student visa allows you to work for a maximum of 20 hours. So that means you can be 0.5 FTE. Okay. It's only professors and, that are 1 FTE. So people are 1.2 FTE, like university that spend all their life, on the job. So they compensate more. So is either you're coming in at 0.5 FTE or 0.25 for an assistantship. Now, typically, the departments of every school that wants to hire you as a graduate assistant will offer you 0.5 FTE.
Okay.
0.5 usually comes with your tuition waiver. Some schools throw in health insurance, some don't. I know a lot of schools that don't, but some do. And then it comes with a competitive stipend. So they go and look at how much it would take for a human being to survive in that town. And then they put it together and then give you every month.
And then offer you
of your accommodation and all that. So if you are earning, let's say, less than $1,000 and you decide to go and get a $2,000 apartment, that's on you. But they would have done their research to find out that what
the cost of living is.
And you also be able to, eat properly from all that. So it's feeding, room and board, books and all that. Oh, wow. So that's how the funding works. The last thing I'll throw in is you already know how to find whether the school has funding. But when you want to actually approach a school or decide whether to apply to a program, even though they have funding, my recommendation is for you to find professors that have the same research interest
as you.
They are willing to assist in research. We already talked about how assistantships are either teaching or research assistantship. So look for professors you think you can assist based on the fact that your research is the same. Your research interests are one. And then you reach out to them by email. You would find their email on the university website.
Yes, their emails are always there.
Be short. Tell them who you are. Tell them your accomplishments. Tell them you're interested in their research. Now, ask them if they are taking in a new student in the semester you want to enroll in. So I'll say, dear Professor Andrew, my name is Ifeanyi Okpala, a prospective international student from Nigeria. I've earned a bachelor degree in civil engineering with XXX grade. and I'm quite interested in pursuing a PhD or a master's degree in XXX at the University of Alabama. You know, I took the liberty or leisure of looking through your website and saw that your research interest is XXX.
We have similar research interests.
And all that, and those are the things I'm really passionate about because by virtue of my work experience, I've done XXXY. I'm just wondering, are you taking in new students in your research group in fall 2021? This answer to this question will help me decide on the way forward regarding my graduate school application.
Yeah.
Look forward to hear from you. Yours sincerely, XYZ. Once they see that email, easy, they just respond. Once they say no need to apply to the school because they're not funding anybody.
Yeah.
Once they say yes, then the person will not just reply and say, dear Ifeanyi, yes, no. Once the person is telling you yes, and they feel like there's space for you, then they begin to ask more questions. How do you get that people have reached out to a professor and they've started talking? Now, if the professor doesn't respond, you send a reminder. If they don't, then you
move on to the next one.
That does not bother to respond to your emails. No. Yeah. So that's how you find, because sometimes you are qualified, you have everything, and then you apply and you get rejected because there's no money to fund you. Not that you don't qualify for the program, not that you're not a good fit, not that your scores are not excellent, but there's no money. So why pay the application fee and do all that stuff
and go through all that stress and still be rejected?
An email might have just saved you from deciding to apply or not.
Yes, because applications into all the schools, they can be expensive, especially when you're applying to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools.
Yeah, but some schools are compassionate. Like right now, between November 8th and November 15th, the University of Alabama is offering graduate school application fee waiver. So it's $80 will be waived. You just get a code. It's straightforward, and then you apply. And then I posted this on my Twitter at OKPA.
Yeah, I tweeted that as well.
I said all that, and because it's starting on Monday. So that works.
You have a couple of questions here, and sure. I would like to take some of them before we go on a short break. And someone had said that, how about other disciplines like accounting and auditing? What type of school would you recommend? And another person is saying that, can one get a fellowship before being a student? So she's asking.
I'll take the second one first. Yes, you can get a fellowship before being a student. It's the same process. The fellowships are there every year. They must spend the money. So they decide to give some new students and some current students. So yes, you can get, and the thing is, it's out of your hands. You just submit a strong application, and then the department decides whether you qualify for a particular fellowship, and then decide whether to recommend you or to award the fellowship to you. So it's straightforward. For the accounting, let me assume for sake of this conversation that is non-STEM. So
yes, non-STEM. Yes.
So typically, the STEM folks get more money than non-STEM, and that's because a lot of companies pay for non-STEM people to actually get master's degrees. Like the MBAs, a lot of companies will pay to get MBA. So schools don't really give you funding for MBA. They can give you maybe half and maybe $5,000 rebates, but they don't usually give full funding. But now, a lot of schools actually pay for you to do that. Like I have a friend right now. She's in University of Illinois or Urbana-Champaign or so, and she's studied for accounting. Is it right? But I'm sure it's in Illinois. But that's the school that comes to my head right now. So it's still the same thing. Like find out if the department offers money, because in the end you'll be doing something.
So it involves research on your own part and your willingness to be able to go through all these websites and check out the requirements before you put in that application.
That's what makes you a graduate student now. Otherwise, like remain at the undergrad level. Like you want to come and do research here, why shouldn't you be able to go through websites and do simple research?
Some people are lazy; they don't want to do it.
Then you don't qualify.
Wow.
Let's just put it in black and white. Then you don't qualify. To be in that program because you're going to be writing projects. You're going to be being team-based, doing team-based research, writing reports, write pieces. or maybe not, depending on your program. You're going to be doing all those things. And for that, nobody's going to stand at your door and micromanage you.
Yes.
So if you are through a bunch of websites and make a decision based on that, you don't get to actually come and do the program. So it's like, so that's why I said the doctoral program sort of pre-qualifies you. That's why it looks like the PhD guys get the visas quickly.
Yeah.
Because they know that
the hurdles that you've crossed before you get to that level.
Skype, they've cross-checked your credentials,
Yeah.
and they now offer to spend, let's say someone who's in a 4-year PhD program, the university might be spending close to, let's say $60,000 on average every year. That's how much? That's 240,000 US dollars. Like that's about 78 million or something. That's crazy money. Yeah. So they know that, and the thing is in front of them that they've said they're going to pay this money. So 240K for you, that means you have sense. Like you've passed all the hoops the department set. So that already like qualifies you for the thing. And in these things you are doing, it just depends on whether you want to do it or not. And if you schooled back like an international student schooled in your country, like when I schooled in Nigeria, it's still the same thing we did to go to university. We asked friends, should I go to UI? Should I go to Unilorin? Your brother went to UI, like, they'll tell you they have a very good program in Unilag, in FUNAB, and all that. And then there was this JAMB is Joint Admission Matriculation Board for people who don't know what JAMB is. They have this brochure where they have all the schools, all the requirements, and all that. And we went through those things. Do I qualify for this school? They need 4 subjects in SSC. So that's basically the same thing you are doing. The only difference is that you have a website now for all the schools, and the information is there, and you are doing Google searches, and you're speaking to people that are there and all that. So yes, for accounting, you can get funded, but you need to find
you need to do some research.
That people in non-STEM typically get more fellowships than assistantships.
Okay, good.
Because of a lot of endowment money. Like people come, I'm the owner, I'm the CEO of Lockheed Martin. And I graduated from accounting in this school. They just dump like $10 million and they set up an endowment scholarship. And then you come in on merit. Maybe you have crazy GRE scores or GMAT scores that are over the roof. And then
what about the role of community service? Your previous community services that you've done, what role does that play into your chances of getting admitted into the school?
It depends on the program.
Okay.
If you're going for public health, for example, and you put that you were a volunteer for a community-based, maybe vaccine distribution program, it carries a lot of weight to a reviewer. But if you are coming in for electrical engineering and you said that you were a community-based volunteer for vaccine distribution program, okay, I said, okay, that's good.
Yeah. How does it add value to us?
No, but that kind of thing. But then not to demean, because I did a lot of community, and maybe that's what they liked about me. Like,
you also love people that volunteer.
In Lagos State, as CDS president, Lagos State for NYC anti-corruption, financial crimes, which is not engineering,
it's
but
not engineering related.
But the thing you're extracting from those community-based programs is now project management. Like I agree with
resilience, tenacity.
From like 20-something to 103 when the new batch entered. I put it there. I interfaced with between EFCC and about 5,000 youth corpers in Lagos. I put it there. Oral presentation. I presented weekly and all that, prepared and all that. I put it there. Oral presentation. Reports. Those are the things. So leadership. And my school, like the University of Alabama, we are looking at teaching, research, and service. So we want to see a student that shows good measure around. Now, whether the program prioritizes your educational qualification, which is, of course, what they're going to do. And
they're going to use that.
Factor in your research to a great deal, depends on the program. But if you have it, put it there.
Yes. And one thing I also noticed, like the big difference between US and Nigeria is that any school or anything you want to do in the US, you have to sell yourself. So you have to come up not as a prideful person, but just you have to show people that you qualify for this, and it simply means that you have to do some little bragging. So all those things that you might think it's not necessary, you need to put it there in that application. You were a prefect in secondary school, put it there. You were assistant head of class in college, put it there. Anything that makes you look like a leader, that sets you apart from the crowd, you want to put it in your application. I have one more question.
I say two things quickly before your question.
What did you say?
I say two things quickly before your question.
Sure.
We just what we're talking about. Now, two things.
After what we say, then we come back to the questions.
Okay, so this is gospel. The first one is, in Nigeria and a bunch of countries, we are taught not to look at elders in the eyes. I don't want to justify or say it's not a good thing, but that's typically how a lot of us are raised. Yeah. Now, when you are talking to me and you're not looking at me in the eyes, I feel like you're hiding something.
Or you're not confident.
So when you go for a visa interview, you look the visa officer in the eye and respond to the questions. Once you are looking down and responding, the person believes you are, psychologically, it looks like you're lying, even if you're saying the truth. So that's what I meant by gospel. Like, it's something that will make a difference. They taught me, I looked the visa in the eye, even while she was typing and looking at me, I was looking at her and explaining, because I knew that the minute I look down and look up, it looks like I'm lying. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is, you see some people who finish first class honors and it's not even on TV. They just put one GPA there and all that, and they don't. In my CV, I had class rank. I had the GPA in percent, and I had the designated grade, because I wanted them to see that I was
stood out.
I had a very
all metrics.
So I had everything I did that was relevant to the program, community involvement, all my awards. I mean, I was one of the top 10 young persons in Nigeria, JCI 2016. With some like big guys who at that point I couldn't even scratch their feet. I wonder how I got into that list. But anyways, so that was a big deal, like in Nigeria then. And I put it there. Oh, and they're like, oh, top 10 young persons in Nigeria. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to sell yourself.
And that was not engineering, but was based on moral environmental leadership. That was the category I came in. So I put it there. So there's nothing like bragging. See, if you watch the news, not the news, you watch Hollywood now. You see how these high school kids come and they celebrate them for spelling bee contests, for quizzes, for debates. Their parents are in the crowd. Oh, okay, they give you a trophy. And that achievement is what they tell you they used to get admission to Harvard, because they have extracurricular achievement. It's the same thing. So anything you have done that is in science, like NSAS protest, you did something there, you organized, you community, put in your CV, but but not quantify it. Like don't just go and say something that makes you seem like you're a governor of a state. Then it begins to seem doubtful. I coordinated 30 people to deliver 50 kilos of meat to a protest ground.
Very important. All those little things that we do, very, very important. And these are things that I didn't know, quite honestly. I didn't know that you had to sell yourself, all this community service. I thought it was just about education. And that's why I'm very passionate about, sharing quality information with other people, information that can help them move from where they are to where they want to be. We're going to go on a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, sweets.
Hi, babe. What's the matter with you? What are you looking for?
Where is she?
She what?
Where did you hide her?
I don't understand. Don't you trust me?
Where did you put the girl? Where's the lady?
I don't understand what you're saying.
I know the smell of your house. What I perceive is quite different. It's charming, it's alluring, it's sweet, it's acting. Where is she?
Okay. This is she.
She?
Yes.
How? She? Feminine? Nice. Where did you get this from?
Got it from a friend.
Nice one.
Yes. You can use Feminix air freshener to get your girlfriend jealous.
Seriously?
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Ifeanyi Okpala, and you're watching the session I'm having with Ifeanyi Okpala, and we're discussing graduate school admissions simplified. Ifeanyi has been sharing different strategies you can use into applying into different graduate schools and even undergrad schools, and you can get full funding. That's interesting. So, Ifeanyi, one question that is also pertinent is location. So we're talking about University of Alabama. We're talking about schools in Louisiana. If your school is in a remote place, would you recommend that? Because you don't want to be disconnected. You are already disconnected from your people. You're almost 5,000 miles away from home. You still want to be in a location whereby you can find other Nigerians, other people that look like you, you know? So what do you say to that? Should people put that into consideration when they're applying to go into graduate schools? You don't want a school whereby you're living in an apartment and you're walking 5 miles to school daily.
Yeah. So yes. That's my answer. This reminds me of the employment-based question where they say, "Do you go where the money is, or you are not open to relocating?" You know, and then you have. So it just depends on the person. But yes, you put that into consideration, and you have to find that out when you're applying. Look at the spread of the professors in the faculty.
Okay.
See if you see people who look like you. You know, that give you an indication of how accepting the school is. Most schools will tell you now that, you know, they are diverse, but the question is, your own personal, as a person, what's your own definition of diversity? Is it you know, you want students who are from your country to be there? So you have to find that out. Go to LinkedIn, type in the school, and then see what pops out. LinkedIn allows you search like that. See if you see people, put in PhD students, put the name of the school, see people who come out on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn automatically the algorithms begin to show you people who you have second, third, or fourth degree networks with. So if you have people from your country, you begin to see that. So that's another way.
That is smart. I never thought of that.
That's how you find out. Because you might not know them personally, but then when you come, you're best friends. Like I have people I put in WhatsApp group, like 4 or 6 of them now. They're asking about accommodation and all that. So a bunch of current students here, we just did that. So we did not know most of them. But now we are bonded by which is that we're from the same continent. And we're trying to see how we can advise them for accommodation and all that. And it doesn't take anything away from us. Now, when they come, some of us will go pick them from the airport, ask them if they have anything, buy them their first burger and all that. Because someone bought me my first burger, so that's my delight now, to buy people their first burger.
Their first burger, because they're always looking forward to it.
Yeah, to eat the burger. So you have all that. So it's simple. If you are going to a place, you know, LinkedIn is there. You find out if people like you are there. Go to the school website. Look at the faculty. Your research lab. Every lab will have people section. Look at the people in that lab you want to join. Do they look like people that you feel like you want to collaborate with on a personal level? That should solve that. Then, if you want to take it a step higher, go to the city. Google search the city that you are looking at attending and look at the demographics, and then you find out whether you have, you know, Black, African Americans, Hispanic, and all that. And then look at the weather too. That's also another thing. Someone asked me about mining, and I remember the weather. I was looking through the comments, and he said, "What about schools for mining?" They mine in like North Dakota, South Dakota, you know, Philadelphia. Yeah, that's where mining goes on. Philadelphia, wherever is more of the oil mining and all that. And then, so in terms of mining, those are the places you want to look at. New Mexico, a lot of mining goes on in those places. And then West Virginia too, a lot of drilling goes on in those places too. So that's it. That's how you find out whether the place is diverse. The truth is that, except it's a very strong, like, it's something people plan, you won't find someone you know, like blood relation. In like this country is so big. It's like 50 states, and in every state, one city is super big again, you know. So in the end, you just find out what the demographics is like. Go to LinkedIn, see if you find people.
Oh, wow.
That's how
Wow, that's great. So if there's one thing I'm taking away from everything you said today is the fact that you have to do your due diligence. Start with the end in mind. Do your research. Look at the school's website. Check out their faculty. Go on LinkedIn. Do your research before you put in that application.
Yeah, just
So,
claim it. Yeah.
okay. Now, the other question is, as a graduate student or as a student, as an immigrant, or no, you're not an immigrant, as what do I call it now?
Don't let them come and carry me from my
I
house.
know, not
As a
immigrant,
non-resident
as an
immigrant.
international student, as an international student, right?
Yeah, okay.
How do you stand out in a school other than people spotting you and saying, oh, that's the Black person from Africa? What are specific things that people can do that will make them stand out? Because once you can stand out in a school, you increase your chances of even getting more funding, more recommendations from the faculty.
Yeah. So everybody has free time. And this will take me back to something that I like to say on special occasions. Like back in school, I was among the class of people that everybody thought would only be reading books, but I don't know the politics anybody would do in a Nigerian university now that I did not do. You know, the level of politics and even fellowship. If you were the Christian person who slept in the fellowship for videos and all that, I didn't sleep in the fellowship all the time, but I was an ESCO, you know. So I did all that and still found time to do schooling. So the same thing with the US. You have a very tight, crazy schedule for your schooling, but you have 24 hours. Absolutely. Like you have the gym, you have hundreds of student organizations. Anything you're interested in, there's chess club. If you want to swim, there's swimming club. If you even want to hike, you need hiking buddies, there's the hiking club. If you need, you know, people, there's this group, I mean, is based in Atlanta, so it's Free Food Atlanta. So people just find all the places where you have free food, and that group, we have like 200 chats every day, you know.
Free
so
food.
Free food in this place. You put the coupon, put everything, so people can be eating free food. Then when someone is there, they take picture. Oh, I just left the place. Oh, there's free food tasting. We'll get $40 by just, you know. So that, and this looks like simple and crazy. That's how easy the process is. So you have all those clubs, all those things, and you have people are constantly calling for volunteers. They want to go to the
I can't overemphasize that.
Yeah, to go talk to them about career plans. They say, oh, graduate students, does any of you have time 7 p.m. on Tuesday to go speak to the undergrads in student housing about graduate school? You volunteer, you go. Then there are positions that you can either be recommended for or you chase. Like, I currently sit on the student advisory board of the career center of the entire university. So about 20 of us, 20 or 21 of us, we advise the career center each week on how they can push for professional development, career internships and all that for the entire university, students in the university. So things around student retention and success, diversity, you know, inclusion, you know, academic success and all that good stuff. Now, I applied for the position. I was interviewed. I applied with documentation. I was interviewed. I was recommended before I was appointed. So some positions you go for it because you know that you
gives you positioning, which is really important.
You know, so like one of the good things that is going to happen is the major employers that come to recruit, they're going to have a meeting with the employers, between the employers and the student advisory board. So rather than me just going to the career fair to speak to employers, now I'm meeting with them even before, you know. So if you look at it from a outsider point of view, that is a personal gain. While every week I'm doing research, advising them, I meet 1 hour every Friday. We all meet and we look at what we want to do the next week.
And you are committed to it. You are not just a volunteer.
No, all those you apply for something you're not committed, leave them wherever you are. You can't come here and be doing all those things. Your name is too valuable for you to destroy. if you're not going to be committed, don't even agree to
Don't
go
even
to
bother.
if you don't want to do it. You know, so there are opportunities for that. Like one thing I want to make sure I pass across is it's not just what you don't like, what you like. There are opportunities for that. If you are a sports enthusiast, maybe you like sports, there's always marathon on campus. They need organizers. They need, you know, if you are into public speaking, they have the 3-minute thesis where people do a competition where they explain their research in 3 minutes. They need organizers. They need anchors for that. Go and, you know,
Go and volunteer.
if you want to help people, like you know, by virtue of me being on this conversation, it's easy for me because I speak to prospective students every day as a graduate school ambassador. So I'm not just doing it
second nature.
Yeah. So even if I'm happy doing it pro bono, I also have an official position that is recognized that I'll most likely get a reference letter for at the end of my program. And I've done this for the graduate school, you know, from the dean of the graduate school. So if I present that anywhere tomorrow, that, oh, this is, you know, it carries weight. So you get the fluff of it now. Anything you are interested in doing, you find a place for you
find
to
it. Yes.
But you have to get rid of all this mentality of you don't have time. You know, you have time for what you make out time for.
Yes, if there is a will, there is always a way. This has
great.
Yeah.
You're not critical to you. You know, just maybe sleeping all day or
I know.
just working and not making out time to even go for a work. You know.
Yes. Wow. This has been a great session. Thank you so much, Ifeanyi. My last question.
Yeah.
So if you were to look back to the time that you put together your application, what one thing would you have done differently?
Well, I wouldn't have bothered applying to some schools that did not make sense. So there's some schools, I don't want to mention their names now. The scores were high. Like on the website, I saw that the average incoming class GRE score was like 160 something, that quantitative. I did not have 160 something. I went to apply. Like what was my motivation till today? I don't know. I looked at the faculty.
You were using fit.
I only saw like Caucasians. You know, I didn't see like black people. I went to apply to that department. Like it's just common sense. People want to work with people that they feel they can vibe with. You know, if the department is not even employing a lot of people who are of color, you know, why would I?
I
was chasing those schools. I didn't understand that, and this is not me who started this thing, but I know it's in existence. Once you leave the US with a degree from a university that's located in the US, outside the US, in a lot of countries, they would highly revere that degree higher than the best university in that country. I did not start it, but it happens a lot. People in HR can testify. So the fact that you're coming to the US to a very decent school, it's already an upgrade over the best school in your continent.
In your continent or wherever you're coming from.
Yeah, like by now, the numbers might not support this. You know, if you say, "Oh, it's a lie," check it, but we know that you go back to, let's say, for example, Nigeria with a United States degree, and you apply for a job. Everybody, you know, might be fawning over you. Oh, okay, why did you even come back? You know, you now become an interesting candidate because the methods of teaching is something that they value so much. But the person who got the same class of degree from the same university might not be an interesting candidate as you are. So, so I understood that late in the game. Then I was testing just the top 10 schools in the US, and I figured that I didn't really need all that.
Need that, absolutely.
So those are the things I will have done differently.
And thank you so much, Ifeanyi. What else would you like to say before we call it a day?
I think my biggest takeaway would be to apply on time. Like applications basically start the year before you want.
1 year ahead of time, minimum.
Apply on time. And that's a big thing, so that they can consider you and decide whether to fund you or not. And That's all. Except you have any question, like I feel like
Yes,
you,
if anyone has any questions, we've reached the end, so you can just drop your questions. But I don't think there are any questions. People just say thank you. Fatima Lawal says thank you very much. Queenette Enilama says thank you so much. This was really informative. And I am also saying thank you very much. I absolutely enjoyed the session. I loved everything that you said, and I wish you all the best in your journey. And thank you for coming and sharing from your well of knowledge. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us. Until next week Saturday, be exceptional, be on point, and be intentional. Bye.
Bye. Take care.